Morning, students. Welcome to today's class. I am Dr. Rajat. I am an alumnus of AFMC Pune. I shall be discussing a few lectures with you, especially which are more important for NEET exam. So today is the first lecture amongst the series of the guest lectures. The lecture is on disorders of kidney from the chapter excretory products and their elimination. So we shall be discussing some disorders which are related to kidney and excretion. So the first disorder, before I start, I'd like to tell you that kidney's basic function, as you all know, is excretion. So excretion of nitrogenous wastes and formation of urine. So there are a lot of factors involved which you have already learnt in the formation of urine from the kidneys. So the first disorder that we're going to cover is diabetes insipidus. So diabetes insipidus is different from diabetes mellitus. So diabetes mellitus is the normal diabetes that we normally say to that, when we say that the person has got diabetes, normally we mean diabetes mellitus. It is usually in old age and in due to deficiency of insulin or due to a resistance of insulin because of beta cell issues in pancreas. So this is different. Diabetes insipidus, it is basically the causes are of two types. Firstly, central means related to pituitary, so which causes decreased formation of ADH. ADH is anti diuretic hormone. So this the first one was the central one. The second one is nephrogenic. Central means related to pituitary. Nephrogenic means related to kidney. Nephro means kidney. So in this kind of diabetes insipidus, the ADH is normal. There is no decrease in ADH, but it fails to act on the kidneys. So net product we can say is almost similar to that ADH is decreased. If the ADH is normal, but it has failed to act on the kidneys, the net result is the ADH in the body decreases. The action of ADH is decreased. So when ADH is decreased, we learned just now that ADH causes reabsorption of water. So reabsorption of water means when there is decrease in ADH, there is decreased reabsorption of water from the collecting ducts and distal convoluted tubules. Now if the water is not reabsorbed, that means it will be excreted in the kidney, in the urine. So there will be increase in the urine volume. There is increase in the urine volume. So because of increase in urine volume, the urine is dilute or hypotonic, because lot of water is added into the urine. So lot of water in the urine. So that is why we say that urine is hypotonic and the volume is high. So the features, will come to the features of this diabetes insipidus. The first and foremost feature is increase in the urine volume. So the urine volume can increase as much as 10 to 15 liters, can even go up to 20 liters. So normally a person passes around 1.5 to 1.8 liters. It is basically a normal adult of weight of around 50 to 60 kgs passes around 1.5 to 1.8 liters of urine. Now you will say the kids also pass the same urine. No, it depends on the kg, as in the body weight of the individual. So a person, even if a kid or an adult or an older person, they will pass urine to the tune of 1 to 2 ml per kilogram body weight per hour. So this is just a question. It's just a knowledge that you should have. 1 to 2 ml per kg per hour means, let's say if the individual is 50 kg, so 1 to 2, let's take it 1 kg. So it means 50 ml per hour. Okay, so 50 ml per hour into into 24 hours. That is roughly around 1200 ml. So if a 60 kg individual, so that will be around 1400 ml. Alright, so around 14.500 ml. So basically for an adult, you can say the normal urine is 1.5 to 1.8 liters. Now in diabetes insipidus, it can go up to 10 to 15 liters. Now you'll pass a lot of urine, so that means there will be dehydration. So dehydration, and then there will be increased thirst. You will feel thirsty, the person will feel thirsty. This is known as polydipsia. This symptom is known as polydipsia. This symptom also occurs in a normal diabetes mellitus, DM, diabetes mellitus. It occurs in diabetes mellitus also, and it occurs in diabetes insipidus also. Polydipsia is increased thirst. Now because there is urine, lot of urine is being passed, so along with that the potassium is also passed in the urine, which can give rise to hypokalemia. Hypo means less, kalemia means potassium, K plus. Alright, so the next disorder is glomerulonephritis. Now science is very simple. Everything can be divided, every word can be divided. So glomerulo means glomerulus, nephron means nephron, nephri means nephron, and itis means inflammation. So wherever you see itis, you know it is inflammation. Alright, so inflammation of glomerulus or the nephrons will cause the widening of the slit pores. Slit pores are there in the basement membrane of the in the glomerulus. So there is widening of the slit pores, and there is elimination of proteins. So if the pores will increase in size, the podocytes pore will increase in size, lot of proteins can go through. If the pore is increased in size, lot of proteins can go through. So there will be elimination of proteins, mainly albumin. So when the albumin is lost in the urine, so urine loss of albumin, so that means less is there in the body, so it will cause hypoalbuminemia. So hypoalbuminemia means decrease albumin in blood. As I told you, science is very easy. The words can be broken down and you will know the meaning. So hypo means decrease, albuminemia means in the blood. So the next disorder is gout. So uric acid is also one of the nitrogenous waste that the kidney is supposed to excrete. So because of some problem, there is decrease in the excretion of the uric acid. So if the uric acid gets the excretion of the uric acid is decreased, there will be increase of uric acid in the blood. Obviously, if it is not excreted, there will be increase in the uric acid in the blood, which is known as hyperuricemia. Again, increase uric acid in the blood. So this uric acid from the blood, now what happens is it gets crystallized. Because it is increased, it gets saturated and it is accumulated in the joints. So there is accumulation of the uric acid crystals in the joints, mainly small joints, for example hands and toes, fingers and toes. So which causes, normally the joints are free of these crystals. So because of the accumulation of crystals, there is inflammation of these joints, which will cause symptoms of redness in the joint, can cause swelling of the joint and pain of the joint. So this is gout because of increase of the uric acid in the blood because of decreased excretion. All right. So the next disorder is renal calculi, or in singular calculus. Calculus is single, calculi is plural. Calculus means stone. So what happens is, within the kidney, the salts of various things like calcium, uric acid and a lot of others get accumulated as an insoluble mass. What happens is, you must be aware of saturation. If you put a lot of salt in water, slowly it gets initially it dissolves, but later, you'll see that it settles on the ground. So that is what happens if the amount of these salts increase in the urine. So when they increase within the kidney, they form insoluble mass. These masses will give rise to stones. Now stones are usually formed inside the kidney, and then they can later slip into the ureter also. So what happens, what symptoms do this cause? Firstly, pain because of mainly obstruction to the urine flow. All right, and there can be infection also. So there can be urine infection, there can be obstruction, there can be pain in the abdomen or in the stomach region. So these all things are due to renal calculi. So last is renal failure. All right, so renal failure is basically partial or total inability of kidneys to perform their function. What is the function? Excretion function. All right, so it can be either an acute means which is short lived, or short onset. That is, it is started just few days or within few hours or few days or few months. Not few months, few days. Chronic is prolonged onset, long onset. It's an old one. All right, so the causes of acute renal failure is, firstly, there can be decreased blood supply or blood flow to the kidneys. So if the input, that is the blood flow, is decreased, then obviously output will be decreased. If this is the kidney and the inflow, that is the blood to the kidneys, is decreased, obviously the urine will also decrease because of decrease in the GFR. The other thing is the kidneys can get injured. The injury to the kidney can be because of many reasons, like infection, okay, and it can even give rise to injury to tubules. So there can be injury to kidneys or injury to tubules. The third thing is obstruction to the kidney, like there can be a tumor here, there can be a stone here. So this can give rise to obstruction. Because of obstruction, there will be backflow of urine, which can cause renal failure. Renal failure or kidney failure is one and the same thing. All right, so what happens in this renal failure is, like I told you, the blood flow to the kidney is decreased, which will give rise to decrease in the glomerular filtration rate. Like I said, if the input is decreased, the output will also decrease. So blood flow decrease in the GFR. Now if the GFR will decrease, then urine output will also decrease. So it can either give rise to oliguria, which is basically the urine output of around 50 to 100. See, from 1.5 to 1.8, it is decreased to 50 to 100 ml per day. And or anuria, it can go even less than 50 ml per day. All right, so because of decrease in urine, now urine is less, so there will be decreased elimination of nitrogenous waste. So the nitrogenous waste, what are the nitrogenous wastes? It can be uric acid, it can be urea, it can be creatinine, it can be hippuric acid. So these are main 4 nitrogenous wastes. So there is increase in the nitrogenous waste in the body because the urine is not able to get it out of the body. So this is a term which is known as uremia. Mainly it is urea, but all these 4 nitrogenous wastes get increased in the body. So because of increase in the blood urea, it gives rise to uremia. So to clear that urea, there is requirement of dialysis. Dialysis or an artificial kidney. All right. So because of increased urea and other toxic metabolites, there is increase in the blood urea, which will give rise to symptoms of increased urea, like toxins. This is basically toxin. So they will cause increased blood urea. All right. So just to recapitulate, the blood flow is decreased because of all three reasons that we had discussed here. These three reasons: decreased blood flow, injury to kidneys or obstruction. So there is decrease in the blood flow to the urine, which gives rise to decrease in the glomerular filtration rate. So glomerular filtration rate, when it decreases, obviously urine output will also decrease. Urine कम हो जाएगा, which can give rise to oliguria or anuria. Oliguria is 50 to 100 ml of urine per day, and this is less than 50 ml per day. So which will give rise to decreased elimination of nitrogenous waste. So the nitrogenous waste are decreased, so they get accumulated in the body. What are the nitrogenous waste? We learned uric acid, urea, creatinine and hippuric acid. So hippuric acid. So increase in nitrogenous waste, which will give rise to uremia and give rise to increased blood urea, which will further require dialysis. This dialysis or artificial kidney and transplant we will discuss in the next topic. So before we go, I want to tell you that in this series of guest lectures, if you've got any queries, please mention in the comments. And if you like it, please share and subscribe. And thank you. I'll see you in the next lecture. Please tell me if you want any additions in the way of teaching or in the subject or in the topics. I'll be more than happy to oblige. Thank you very much.